What's up, everybody? Here's another build video from Toomba. This is the Magicka Nightblade bomber build, designed to tether bomb and take out whole groups of people at a time. Just poof, gone like dust in the wind. I'm gonna show her off a little bit. She's my favorite. She's the sexiest. Miss Tamriel 2019. She's something special. Yeah. But she is deadly, and more so because you don't see it coming. That's why Magicka Nightblades are more powerful and better bombers than Necros or Sorcerers, though other classes can bomb. Let's definitely put that out there. I've seen even DK bombers. That's a thing. And you may not know, but the new changes to Destro Staff have made Pulsar a execute, one of the morphs of this skill here. Impulse makes the Flame Staff an execute Pulsar, sort of. It's only an execute damage to the amount of extra damage that the Flame Staff does, not to the base amount, which is why it's not the best, but it is sort of an execute. Well, it just does a little bit more damage to lower health targets. It's not the best execute, I should say. Okay, moving on. We don't use that on this build. You won't have to use a spammable of like Pulsar on a Magicka Nightblade because you've got this. You've got Sap Essence. That's your bread and butter. In the middle of a bomb, you're spamming that. It's giving you some health back, which is important because you're toggling on this vampire skill, Frenzy. Go with the Simmering Frenzy morph. It's going to give you extra damage the lower health you get, which is what you want. You want a lot of damage. You want to maximize as much damage as you can get. You are going to be a class cannon. You're going to be a paper tiger. You're going to be like, you're just going to fall over like a fart in the wind when you get hit by a TP or something hard hitting. Which is why you have to sort of cloak to avoid most things. And let's go over skills. As far as defensiveness goes, on the back bar, you're going to have to keep shadowy disguise going. Most of the time, you don't want to be seen. In the middle of a fight, you don't want to be seen. Race against time, this is snare removal and speed. Also gives you minor force for 12 seconds, increasing your crit damage down by 10%, which is important. You do need to hit this skill as you're going into a bomb. You need to hit that. And this concealed weapon is just on the bar to make your sneak speed faster. Okay, so it's like you're at sprint speed when you're cloaking and going into a bomb. So you need that speed, okay? And of course, proximity detonation. You cannot bomb without this skill. This is sort of what makes you a bomber. Does more damage, quite a bit more damage, per body that's inside the AoE of 8 meters on you, near you. And when it goes off, it does crazy high damage. Okay, this skill, Simmering Frenzy, new sort of thing from the Vampire Tree. It's a toggle skill. It takes your health away. If you leave it toggled on, it will kill you. So you do have to be careful using this. No one else can heal you while that's toggled on. You can heal yourself, however, but you hit that at the last second before you go into bomb. Okay, so we'll show you the rotation in a second. Alright, and then you swap to the front bar, right? And you try to get your proxy det to go off at the exact same time as you hit your ultimate soul tether. That's what you're trying to do, and that's where you get the most burst all at once, and you have to have all your buffs up at the same time. That is the challenge right there, to get everything to go off at the same time and to be fully prepared for the bomb, which is kind of difficult. You have to time your proxy det, which takes 8 seconds. You have to time that to go off in the middle of the enemy as they're grouped up, and if they're moving, that's quite a challenge. That's the challenge. Okay, and then you spam Sap Essence. These two skills are on the bar. Just as buffs, you don't need them. You don't ever have to hit them, really. Inner Light is going to buff your max magicka by 7% because it's a mage's guild skill. You should be taking advantage of the passive there, a mage's guild, giving you an extra 2% max magicka and magicka recovery for having it slotted, and the skill itself gives you 5% max magicka. It also gives you Major Prophecy, increasing your spell crit by quite a bit. So that's what it does. It's just a buff. You don't even have to hit it. It just stays on the bar, and you get 7% max magicka and Major Prophecy, which means your potions don't have to include Major Prophecy. You do need a spell power pot from... yeah, so I'll go back to that. Camouflaged Hunter from the Fighter's Guild tree is here to give you Minor Berserk for 5 seconds after hitting or doing critical damage to an enemy's flank. So when you go in and you bomb a whole group, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that proc. You're gonna get the Minor Berserk, because you're doing quite a bit of crit, and that's gonna hit someone for sure from the flank, and you're gonna get that Minor Berserk, increasing the damage you're doing. It's worth using this, I believe. Definitely worth using this, because that'll increase all the damage you're doing to everybody once you get that proc. Arterial Burst from the Vampire Tree is definitely the morph you want. If you go with the other morph, you're going to have a hard time surviving, because it costs health to use if you're using Simmering Frenzy as well. That's going to kill you. You'll die too often. You don't have a healer most of the time, so you need this morph, the one that costs magicka to use. Still going to do great damage. This is amazing single target damage. Some of the best you can get in the game. Better than your concealed weapon, yes. And also Swallow Soul. Impale is your execute single target, firm range, amazing damage. Pretty much you just need one of these. When you find someone under 25%, you hit them with this. If they don't dodge it, if they take the full effect, they're probably dead. They're probably dead with just one of these. Most people can't survive one of these from 25%, because look at that tooltip, 4,750 times 300, or times 3, that's a lot, that's a big hit, and that can crit. So I've seen numbers, 30k easy from one of these impales. They are absolutely nasty. This execute, don't use anything else. Alright, that's the skill rotation. And you do need all your class passives. Okay, for Destro Staff, you're going to want those too. Resto Staff as well. I do have Life Giver on my back bar as a defensive ultimate, sort of. I try not to ever use this, because my whole goal is to... I'd rather die, honestly. I'd rather die and keep my ultimate so that I can bomb again. I'll just res somewhere else, come back to the fight, and I'll have a Soul Tether up. It's 157 ult, and I'd rather not use 131, so I can get my Soul Tether back up. Soul Tether's going to heal you anyways. If you can just get a little bit more ultimate, you can bomb. But yeah, so sometimes, I don't tell people this, usually, but I take this off. I just take that off. It's off the bar, especially when it's laggy. So I never hit that. I don't want to hit Soul Tether on the back bar. I don't want to hit anything on the back bar. I don't want to use my ultimate at all. I just want to use Soul Tether on the front bar. That's what I do. Okay? Don't mess that up. Just use the Soul Tether. And, of course, you need the 5 light passives. It's just those 3 from the heavy tree. And get these passives here, I'm showing you here. Windwalker, the improved sneak, and athletics. Oh, I was missing one. Whoops. Nice. Okay. Athletics. Let's see. Legend Mate, it is nice to have improved hiding because you do use stamina to sneak. You do. As a Magicka Nightblade, you're using that all the time. Alright? Soul Magic, you don't need those. Vampire, you're using those 2 skills. And these, so you're staying in Vampire Stage 2. 2, not 3, not 1, not 4, 2. Vampire Stage 2. For this passive here, when you leave Sneak or Invisibility, you gain 300 spell damage. Now, in Cyrodiil, it's a little hard to feed and stay at Stage 2. You have to find, because like these NPCs that guard a keep, you can't feed off them. You can't feed on them and increase your vamp level. It's really unfortunate, because those guards, that resources, they're everywhere, and that would be really, really easy to get your vamp thing fed. I'm at Stage 2 right now, so I don't want to feed. I'm just going to show you what you're looking for. You're looking for these little red tents. You see these red tents? They have these Imperial NPCs, usually just like a handful at most, maybe just a couple, like here. You just sneak up behind one of them, and you'll see that feed icon, and you hit that, and you'll feed, and yeah, so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those Imperial dudes. Alright, now I am actually trying to turn on this add-on here. I don't think I had it turned on. I do. Alright, then I'm going to need to give it a setting so I can show you what it looks like. Yes, alright. Here is the build. Specifically, just about to go over the gear with you guys. Whoops. Yeah, you can see I'm using Vicious Death, Valorgs, and War Maiden. That is it. That is the good stuff right there. Absolutely. Now, the jewelry, to maximize your damage, which is what this build does, just cheeses as much damage as you can get. You want 2 infused spell damage glyphs. 2 infused spell damage, and that's key. And the third piece, you do need 1 trait of recovery, magical recovery, because the build is just squeezing as much as you can into damage, and your race should be Dunmer. Should be. We'll go into that in a second. And so you're not getting anything for recovery, really. You do need 1 trait of recovery. I highly suggest it. Otherwise, you'll be heavy attacking too much and you'll be useless, really, for anything like brawling. But on that 1 piece that's got the recovery trait, go Bloodthirsty. Definitely go Bloodthirsty. That's going to increase your damage by quite a bit when the targets are low. It'll make your Impale highly successful. Bloodthirsty is the way to go, for sure. Do not do 2 Bloodthirsty. And I'll tell you why. Because your initial damage, your initial hit when the proxy and the soul tether go off, that's what you need the most damage on. You need your damage front-loaded on those 2 skills so that when it goes out, it pops super hard and puts everything low, and then at that point, you've still got 1 Bloodthirsty to like help you out, and the 2 infused spell damage glyphs are still helping your damage out quite a bit. Alright? So, little tip and trick. What I like to do is pop us, these are my potions I like to use. The ones that have spell damage, magicka, and detect. Because the effect I really need is spell damage. I can't live without that. And magicka, because the 20% or the 40% recovery and the magicka itself is just something I can't live without, really. You need the magicka too. And so the other effects that you have to choose from when you're making potions, none of them really benefit you as much in PvP as that stealth detect. Like the major crit you don't need, you've got inner light. So I choose these. I use stealth detect potions. I pop one of these as I'm going into the bomb, like before I bomb. Okay, so that I have that major sorcery on the first hit and I don't have the sap essence right before the bomb goes out. That's because it reveals you, and as soon as you're revealed, as soon as people see that there's a bomber, smart people will block, they will dodge roll. If they're paying attention, they will get out of the way, even if it's for just a second. They can hit their right mouse button and block, seeing that that bomb is coming in, right? And that might be the whole difference between a successful bomb and a failure, is the fact that you hit a sap essence before you rolled out. So let's continue on here and talk about bombing in Cyrodiil when it's extremely laggy. It's very, very difficult to get this Soul Tether ultimate to work. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't. The Soul Tether is buggy as... I won't say it. It's very buggy. The Soul Tether, you'll even see the full animation. You'll see the, guy jumps up, throws his arms to the side, and the visual effects are all there, but nothing happens. The ult doesn't go out. It's like when you're spamming your potion and it's not happening. You're hearing the sound that you're drinking the potion, but you didn't drink it and you die because of that. It's a mess. It's a mess. Soul Tether is really bad in lag. So, when it's really laggy, you should be using this build. This is the bomb you need to be using. Alright, this is the Destro Bomber. Okay? And we'll go over skills for this. The Destro Bomber has the exact same back bar, except you've got Eye of Flame, and instead of a Resto Staff, you've got a Fire Staff. Okay? So you got a Fire Staff on the back bar to give yourself the fire Eye of Flame. You need this morph of the Destro Ultimate to stay on top of you, and the Proxy Det is on top of you. Damage goes out where you are. That's how it works. And it's very dangerous during a Destro Bomb to be using the Simmering Frenzy. You can't keep it up during the whole bomb. So it's a little more complicated of the rotation to keep the Simmering Frenzy on there. Even I'm not the best with it. Okay, now front bar, I try to keep Inner Light for that buff. It's just too good. And I'm using Mass Hysteria. Okay, Mass Hysteria and Soul Harvest Ult are the only changes to your front bar on a Destro Bomber here. Everything else is the same for skills. I just swapped out that Fighter's Guild skill for Mass Hysteria so that I put my Destro Bomb into a group and I put a sap out and they're thinking about running away, maybe they dodge, I hit the Mass Hysteria, it fears them in the middle of their dodge and they're stuck in that, and that puts them low enough to just pop right there. Getting the stun from Mass Hysteria is much the same as getting the stun from the Tether. The effect just keeps people in the bomb and they die because of that stun. So Mass Hysteria is very, very important. You need to have that. I otherwise would have loved to put, I do see some bombers using, where is it, Lotus Fan. Lotus Fan is great because you can keep your bomb on top of people. If I had one other skill that I could use, maybe I would drop Arterial Burst as a spammable single target and put Lotus Fan on there just so I could keep my Destro on top of people. They couldn't really get away. I could just keep gap closing to them. It is also an AoE, sort of an AoE dot. So it's not bad to kinda spam, like if you have to stay on top of people that are getting away from you effectively. But if you are, you're probably not bombing the right group. Also, this build here, the Destro, is a whole lot more effective when you're in a group. If you've got a guild that you're playing with, you want to be using this, which makes your War Maiden set that you were using tether bombing rather useless, because that just buffs your magic damage, which is everything I showed you in the toolkit for the tether bomber. It's using magic damage. All of that stuff was magic damage, which is why War Maidens is just the best. But Destro bombing is fire damage, and you don't need any of that. War Maidens doesn't buff any of that, so you have to go with something like this. Clever Alchemist, just as good, if not better damage. just for those 20 seconds when you pop it and you go into bomb. This is the best damage you can get, really. But you got to be good about popping that potion right as you go into bomb. Still using the 2-piece battle orgs on the Destro Bomber and the Vicious Death. You can't not use Vicious Death. In any bomber setup, Vicious Death is a must. You must have Vicious Death. You do Lightning Stab front bar, because that increases your AoE damage done by 8%. Check your Destro tree passives to verify that. Fire Stabs increase your single target damage by 8%, but you don't need any of that. You need AoE damage, so we do Lightning Stab front bar, which also makes your heavy attacks undodgeable. Okay, so that's gear and skills. You've got the champion points. You can see the champion points on this add-on here. Okay, so I don't have to go into anything in great detail. That's what you want. That's going to help your damage in all aspects. And the food you want to be running is hands down, Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Max health, max magicka, that's what you really need. And magicka recovery is too good. It's just too good. You can't do without that, really. Health recovery is just kind of there. Like, you could, if you wanted to be, budget bomber, go with Witch Mother's Potent Brew. You get the max magicka, the max health, and the magicka recovery too. It's a little bit less on those max stats, but still really good. Still really, really good. Not that much less, and still good, yeah. So, when you're Destro bombing, I do suggest you use these movables. Essence of immovability. Health, magicka, and immovabilities when you're going into bomb. Try and get those off. If you're in the middle of a fight, you've been brawling, and they know you're there, sort of, you can use sap to get your major sorcery, so you can be popping those potions to, keep yourself more survivable, give you health back too. And when you're out of combat, those Crown Tri-Resto potions, those Tri-Stat potions that you get from just, signing in, logging in every once in a while, those trash potions are the best, I find, for just like when I'm out of the fight and I've just bombed. That's 20 ultimate. As a Nightblade, you get 20 ultimate. I think it's here. Yeah. After drinking a potion, you gain 20 ult. Yeah. Just pop one of these trash potions and give yourself 20 ultimate when you're out of a fight, just waiting for to get back into the fight. You're getting your ultimate back up. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. All right. I have also here's a pro tip. I know other bombers back in the day, they have a bunch of different food on their quick slot bar. So they have a max stat food that they eat right before they go into a bomb. And since there's a very little cooldown on the food, they eat a regen food when they come out of their bomb to get their stats back, right? And then eat another thing of food, usually cheaper, just tri-stat food, as they go into bomb again. It's amazing and genius, really. Crispin deserves the credit for that one, teaching me that. Okay, let's see, what else? Race. Yes, let's go over race. So, Dark Elf, and I will tell you why Dark Elf. So, forget about reducing damage from lava. No one is... No. It's dumb. That's really dumb. Okay, max magicka and max stamina. Now, most other bombers will tell you, most other build videos I've seen, they stress going high elf, right? Because there's max magicka that's like 2k max magicka, so I'm missing 125 max magicka from not going Sork, or sorry, not high elf. And instead I get 1875 max stamina as well as magicka, right? And that stamina is the real key. That's why this is so much better, because this is the PvP build, and like if it were PvE, you just wanted to do a high DPS Magicka Nightblade. Sure, go ahead, yeah, do High Elf. But you're gonna do a lot of dodging, a lot of blocking. You're going to need that stamina that you wouldn't get on a High Elf, and also flame resistance because you're a vampire. And you've got immunity to burning status effect. Anyone using burning spell weave doesn't even get their proc and their damage from you. Flame resistance is huge for that vampire, and you got the same spell damage buff that a high elf gets too. So you're getting the same damage as a high elf would, pretty much, but also you're getting stamina and survivability. See, you're getting the survivability of, yeah, it's just way better. It's way better. Do this. Do Dark Elf. You could do Breton. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. That's best. Dark Elf is just best. Yeah, better than High Elf. Better than Breton. there's no better you could do than Dark Elf. That's it. That's it. That's the stuff. That's the build. I hope you enjoy it. Like and subscribe. Follow me, and I'll show you a ton more builds. I've got a Magicka DK thing coming up, and a Harbinger tank. Everyone's been wanting to know. I've been hesitant to put up my Harbinger build because it's better than all these trolls I see out there, and we really don't need any more Harbinger tanks in Cyrodiil, but we're gonna get them anyways, and so yeah, I'll share that with you. Enjoy!